Good morning, everyone. I'm Anthony Crudele, and welcome to the Place Your Trades Network. This morning, my guest is Shark, and we're going to be talking about the recent action in the S&P and how we finally have a week where it's not totally data-driven. We could talk about some technicals, and you can see I put that poll out on Twitter. If you haven't seen that poll yet, you can go to my Twitter account at Anthony Crudele and vote on that Twitter poll. So I'm asking whether or not you think we're going to close above or below 4,000 today. Shark and I are going to tell you what we're seeing in the markets and how we think the markets are going to close today and how we're going to be using daily options on futures as our way to execute these trades, otherwise known as event contracts. And they're really just zero DTE daily options on futures. Shark is a SPY options trader. So that's why I was glad to have him on today, because he's going to talk about really the differences between the two and, the benefits that maybe you see using options on futures with CME Group's event contracts. Today's podcast is brought to you by Tradeovate, which has built a custom app dedicated to trading event contracts. It's what we're all using at Place Your Trades. There's a link in the chat if you want to start using the Tradeovate web app for free. Go there and check it out. And you can see I'll be pulling it up here shortly, and I'll be making some picks using the Tradeovate app. And of course, you'd have to open up an account with Tradeovate to start making your own picks. And I want to remind all of you that we're on Monday through Friday from 9 to like 9:20, giving you guys an idea of what we're looking at for the day. We're giving you our live event contract picks. So be sure to set your notifications. And if you're enjoying the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button to the channel. And now let me bring in my friend Shark. Shark, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how you doing? Good morning.
Good morning. So today what I want to talk to you about is you're an SPY trader.
Yeah.
You trade the options, right? And, you heard me talk about it in my intro, how really the zero DTE is a big thing now for SPY, right?
Yeah. They just recently introduced 0 days every single day of the week. I don't know if this is what it might have been what we needed or what we didn't need in our lives, but regardless, here we are. With that. So that's been interesting, and it's been interesting to kind of see how the markets reacted and moved to that, because obviously VIX has a lot to do with the amount of options contracts, long and short. So it's been interesting because I've kind of found that the markets are been moving a little bit differently since they've kind of been instated. I've seen some people talk about it on Twitter. Now I don't know, I don't have any proof for that. Maybe it's a little tinfoil, but I've noticed the range has been a bit tighter for the last 2 weeks or so since they've really been in full play. So that's something I've been finding to be interesting.
Talk to me a little bit how they work, because I've never traded a zero DTE SPY option. I mean, we know with the event contracts, daily options on futures, we're going to talk about mostly S&P today. It's capped out at $20, right? So if you buy it at $10, it closes one tick into the money. It closes at $20. So we already know it's going to close at 20 or zero. How does that work for a zero DTE SPY?
Well, they can range. You do have a fixed risk, but obviously the main difference, and I think one of the main benefits of the event contracts are the fact that you don't have to deal with the theta as much. Now, from what I understand, there is some naturally occurring theta on the event contracts, but not nearly anything that you have to worry about or be concerned with when you're trading 0 days. For me personally, I trade 0 days in rare cases. I usually treat them as lotto trades. So when I personally trade them, I'm not trading them with very much size. I kind of treat them as scratch offs. I come into them in the mindset that they can potentially go to zero. Not necessarily that I'm going to let them, but they are more lotto. So really, I recommend to trade a little further out, to give yourself some time, some flexibility. Trading is so hard, as it is. Having to deal with the Greeks is one more additional stress that you have to worry about. So that's why I really like the event contracts, because you don't have to worry about that. You're in, and you don't have to worry, oh God, is this going to just end at zero? Because you can end at zero and be in the money at the end of the day on an options on a 0 day, just because of that time decay. So that's not too nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I look at it from a similar option. Also, everybody, if you're watching on YouTube, let us know in chat. Do you think the S&P is going to close above or below 4,000 today? I'm curious to see what you think. I'm going to pull up charts here in just a minute. I think one of the main things that I like about the event contracts, the daily options on futures, and then like I said, I can't compare them to the zero DTE because I don't know. I've never used them. Is that for me? All I have to do is be one tick better. Like yesterday was pretty
Yeah.
interesting. I took a bunch of no's before the open. I took some no's today. I'll talk about that as well.
Uh,
And right towards the close, I said to myself, you know what? Do I want to start buying these 4,000 yeses or 4,000 calls? Yeses are calls, no's are puts.
mhm.
And I looked at it and it was going to close almost right around, or almost right exactly at 4,000. And it was even at that point, I'm like, it's hard to even pick one tick above. But the good thing is, if I'm right one tick into the money, you get paid the full $20. And they were trading around like, I think I bought some of them around, and they were really whipping around. I was buying them maybe around $6 to $8. And so,
Okay.
you could make, two, 300% and just in that last 5 minutes of the day. And
Yeah.
that's one of those things where you go back to, you kind of mentioned as a lotto. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to put a bunch of size on there. But if I
Right.
do think we're going to rally into the close, especially on on a day where we're just squeezing all the longs out, then I definitely think that that's a good way to play it versus like trying to trade the outright futures, because it's just so much riskier when you get into that end of the day. Like, not all you have to do is just pick if it's going to be right above or below an area.
Yeah, that's really I think what's special about what's going on here with the event contracts, because I even had a bit of that mindset yesterday as we were selling off. I thought, all right, well, do we see some covering into the close? Usually that last hour, even last 30 minutes to 15 minutes, you can see the shorts starting to cover, and you get maybe a little end of day rally. So I was in some 0 days, as a matter of fact, at the end of the day, and it didn't really work out for me. I mean, we tried to rally, but the theta, it took too much out of the premium, and it kind of turned into a wash for me. So all I had to do was to do the event contracts, and I would have, as long as I had the right strike, of course, I would have been able to make a profit a lot easier than if I was sitting there for 15 minutes waiting, having the theta eat on a 0 day. It's really, it's not too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the difference. You don't have to worry about that. I'm actually going to pull up now the poll that I put up on Twitter. And look at this, Shark. 50-50, 88
Yeah.
votes. I only put it's only been, I've only had it out. I did like a 20-minute poll. It's only got one minute
Okay.
left. It's going to land right on 50-50. Isn't that something? And I actually really like that. I'm glad it's not in the nose, because I like the nose today. I actually think that we're going to go lower, continue to go lower today. And I didn't want to see everyone betting the no anyway. So, and I'm going to go into my reasons why, and then maybe we'll look at some levels for you.
Sure.
For me, it's such a simple process. As this poll is about to close, it's going to be 50-50, which is crazy, right? You think about it, I did a 20-minute poll and it's exactly 50-50. And we're right at 4,000, basically. We're at 4,002
Yep.
right now in the S&P.
Yeah.
So for everybody, for me, my answer is simply, I am just taking no's almost, I would say, I wouldn't say every day between now and the end of the year, because I'm not sure about that. But I will say that I'm almost always going to be looking to take no's for just the simple look that I'm going to show you right now. So if you look at what's happened so far this year, and actually Swing Pony, she's talked about this trend line a lot, even on her show.
Sure.
And when you look at this trend from the beginning of the year, look at this. It's pretty
Yeah.
incredible, right? Boom, boom, boom. 3 times we hit it, right? I mean, I'm not somebody who even draws trend lines, honestly, but the fact that it's done it, you've got to respect it, right? Then I also
Yeah.
look at this red line is the 200-day moving average. Couldn't close above it more than 1 or 2 days. Maybe back here it closed about 3 or 4 or 5 days. Here it actually had several closes above it. But for the most part, you've been seeing multiple closes below the 200-day. Once again, I don't even use the 200-day moving average, but the fact on the big picture, it can't get above it. And then you have this other orange line for me is the auto anchored VWAP from the beginning of the year. So that's basically it's an anchored VWAP from the beginning of the year till now, and that came in almost right at that trend line, which is incredible when you have 3 big things come in at one place and we
Oh
just
yeah.
fail from it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I like to always talk about, in my chat and with traders that I work with, we try to look for at least three reasons to take a trade at minimum, and then we can qualify an A plus setup, potentially. So if we don't have those three reasons, it doesn't mean necessarily that we don't take the trade. At least we need at least two, but then maybe it's a B setup, maybe it's a C. So we're going to trade, we're going to do our position sizing a little bit, differently. So when you see something like this, and actually I was talking to another trader about this, sometimes you get a little bit scared taking those obvious trades almost a little bit, could it be this easy? It's right at the 200, it's right at that huge trend line.
Exactly.
This can't be, it can't be true. But, in this case, all you can do is set your risk, and then take the trade. So, that was a great rejection there. I know a lot of people were watching that trend line. And the 200, and it becomes a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy as well.
Exactly. So you are a SPY trader, options trader, and obviously we're talking futures here, and we talk about how we like these daily options on event contracts. What are some levels you're looking at? Are we going to be looking at? Could you translate the levels? I know you're a SPY trader from SPY to S&P, so we get a kind of an idea of what you're looking at.
Yeah, well, I did a little bit of homework last night and refreshed, some of my levels for us having this meeting. Yeah, so I am watching now. You can see there, you can call that, we are on obviously a short-term uptrend, if you disregard the longer downtrend that we're at, but we are on, these candles since October lows are coming up, so we are on the uptrend. You can make the case for a bit of an ascending wedge there as well coming into that trend line. So I agree with you with the nose. My theory today was that what I like to look for is a little bit of a regression to the median. So I'm thinking today it's possible that we have a bit of a rally maybe in the morning session, maybe come up. I was looking at 40-50 area,
So back
and
basically
then
to the 200.
back test, yeah, to back test and then roll back over. Now, but I'd be really interested in getting short is when you see that trend line that you have there break. When that starts to break, I think then we're going to really start to see the selling. On the daily chart, I do have a volume point of control on the market on the volume profile. It's in this zone around uh, 39.72 and 3/4 and 39.58. So I'm also pretty confident that if once we get under there, it's pretty likely that the sellers are going to come in and drive us down to retest that big level at 3,900. So yeah, I mean, I'm with you on the nose. I do actually have some overnight calls on the market because I am kind of postulating that that bounce off the trend line, because that's pretty much where we are right now. We're pretty much right at that trend line, the last moment of truth for the bulls. So I am looking for a little bit of bounce, and then as long as we don't get over. Now I was looking in that level, the 40-50 pretty much lines up. I think last week on Sunday when we opened in futures, we had that gap down. So that area, we have two touches there from price action around that 40-50. So that's the level where I'm thinking we might come in to retrace and might see that third rejection. So even though I am looking for a little bit of a bounce today, I still would probably be in the mindset that unless we get over that and start to hold, since that's been a key level, I'd like to see at least a 30-minute close over it. But once that starts to happen, then I'm going to start, of course, be going on the yes side. But until that happens, I say we're going no all the way.
Yeah. So let's take a look at how you can play this. I mean, so thanks for sharing that, Shark. So a couple things that I'll look at is you pull up the strike list here on the Trade app. And so he thinks the 40-50 areas, obviously you want to take the nose. They're priced in at $19.
Yeah, it's a
But
little.
yeah, you're not going to pay $19. I really don't pay over. I think the highest I ever pay is like 13 or 14 bucks. I have done that.
Mhm.
And that's just kind of adding to a winner where like if I bought them at like $5, I know some people will cover them. You can cover these anytime. Most people are
Right.
covering them. I'm buying more at 14 because I tend to be a little, aggressive. But
Right.
So if we rally today, these can get pretty cheap. I think if they get below 13 to 14 bucks, I agree. I would definitely step in there. I would not step in above 13 to $14 because it's just too, I mean, obviously there's just too the risk reward is just awful, right? And the
Right.
40
No, no, no. Yeah.
but the 40/25s could almost be essentially a situational play for you today where maybe we go up and we don't get quite as good of a bounce as maybe you would think, right? We come back up in here and you start to see a failure short. I always like seeing resistance and bear markets fail short of it
Hmm.
and then start to come back down. So if I start to see
Right.
that today, the 40/25 can become very interesting to me because a violation of this, if we were to get above there, these can get pretty cheap in the nose. They might get down to like 8 to 10 bucks or less.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that premium is going to change. So that's what I would be looking for too. Watching the premium kind of shift as we get into that level, and then being able to make a little bit better decision. Okay, is the risk to reward worth it? What is tech doing? And kind of making a decision from there. The market's not going anywhere without Apple and Microsoft. So
Yeah, it's a good point. You got to keep an eye on those. And yesterday, I was looking at just the heat map of the day, and it was just scorched in red. So
oh
like
yeah.
you could see a mean reversion type day. And I still think, like I said, for me, I keep it very simple, especially when I look at event contracts. Is like, okay, what is this overall trend doing? And I just take the no's or the yeses. Some people cover them. I never do. You can cover these anytime you want. Once I
Yeah.
pick I basically buy these trades. That's just the difference with me. I mean, I've been a day trader my whole life. And I don't, I mean, if I'm going to scalp or if I'm going to trade, outrights, I trade those. That's a totally different strategy. For this, if I think we're
Hmm.
going lower, it's a good way for me to avoid, take my opinion, which we always say don't trade with your opinion, but my opinion is really based upon what's happening technically in the market. An event
Sure.
contract allows me to just say, you're with that trade, man. That's the way you
Yeah.
think they're going. And if you go to the 4,000s today, you pull those up, you could see I
Yeah.
bought
What
10
are
of
those
those at
trading
850 this
level?
morning. Currently, you can buy them at 875. I bought them right when we were around here. We're just chopping around, but I like to buy them if I think we're weak. It even goes back up. If we go up to 40/25, these can go down to like $2. And then
Yeah,
you
yeah.
put 10 on
Then you definitely,
$20.
yeah, yeah.
You put
then
up
you then you slam it.
Yeah, you buy 10 of them for $20, kind of like you said with the lotto, and it's like, man, I'm bearish. So for me, I
Yeah,
could put $20. You can't even trade, I mean, one little even micro. I trade the bigger ES, but yeah, I think even a micro mini S&P, as much as that's moving, I mean, that's a 1 buck.
right.
It's
No, I
you're gonna be up
know.
or down
Yeah,
$20 like that. With this, and these things, once again, they can go to $4. No
yeah,
problem if they were to start to come back down. We're thinking ahead now, everybody, because just like I said yesterday afternoon, watch the closes on these, man. If they're getting right around a strike, sometimes you get some opportunities where we could be $5 above or below a strike price, and they could be priced around $4. Well, you make
yeah.
five
That's
five
good.
times your money.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. That's perfect.
yeah, I like them when they get towards the end of the day like that. So that's my pick. Everybody today was to buy the nose at 850. I'll continue to be buying nose all day long. Do you maybe want to take a look at anything else in NASD? Are you trading any of this other stuff, or are you just
In
SPY
it,
options?
nah, I don't. I'm only mainly just watching ES. Sometimes I trade NDX, NQ, but not really too familiar with it. I like to find one thing and kind of try to master it as best I can. So even though I do play other individual stocks, my main bread and butter is buy, since I know how it moves. And I'm
Right.
not trying to learn 1,000 tricks. I'm just trying to get really good at 2 or 3 tricks.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly. But the entry to these other markets like crude oil, gold, I talk about this a lot, is that these are really expensive contracts to trade. And you go into trade crude
Yeah.
oil futures, the margins are going to
Oh, you
be
can't do it. The normal person can't do it.
they can't
Yeah.
do it. But with this,
And
they can. And I
yeah.
actually like, crude oil. I like to start buying the dips a little bit in this. And instead of trading outrights, I think crude oil, a great way to use it would be event contracts. So if you think we're going to close above 77 today, which I think really could very much happen. I mean, they fill the gap and maybe pop up there. It's $8.50. That's a good way to get into a market and to see how it moves and feels. Gold's been a hot topic lately as well. Another market, I think, actually, look at man, it pains me to talk about gold, because that market is just literally, it's ruined holidays, vacations for me. Every
Right,
time I step
right.
into this
I
thing, I
think
get
what were you
cracked.
saying one time you were calling well it was no, it was silver. You were calling it the Widowmaker.
Oh yeah, silver. Just you know, I mean, literally, it's like nothing's brought me closer to literally killing my account than gold and silver. And that's why I like these event contracts, because I can still play with them. And I've actually made money in the golds this year, not in the silver ones. I don't know what it is with silver. I struggle with that market, but these are great entry places for these other markets to step
Yeah,
in and
yeah.
trade.
No,
Um,
definitely. Besides the theta aspect, and I think I've mentioned this before. I think you guys did a tweet about me talking about this. That the barrier to entry is just great. For people that are just want to learn more about futures, like you said, see how they move. The entry to get in and to participate in these markets are way more affordable. Like you said, you can't trade oil. The normal
nah,
person really can't trade
I
oil.
can't.
No, it's too much. So unless you're a big time, so this is great to be able to do that. Yeah,
Yeah. And like I said, everybody, before we let you go, quick recap. Shark and I talked about a couple of things today. 200-day moving average up top is right around 44.75. And you also you have these highs up there. He talked about that Sunday gap. He and I are both bearish. I talked about my reasonings. The anchored VWAP downtrend for the year was touched. All of these things are telling me to keep taking no's. And I think with a week with rollover, it's a good week for me as a futures trader. You don't go through this in the SPY, but it could be a really choppy week. And last week I've opened about it. Last week on Twitter, I talked about on Twitter this weekend how I had a rough week last week. And really I had everything I wanted to do. I just got chopped up. And this week I said, you know what? Get some rhythm with the event contracts, some daily options. I traded a little bit of intraday futures yesterday, but it's about keeping it light and tight. No, my direction is short. And I agree with you, Shark. If we take out these areas in here and this trend up, watch for something crazy potentially towards the end of this year, because I just feel
yeah.
like, I don't know, but I feel like there's a lot of longs trapped up here. A lot of FOMO longs, people trying to buy into the end of the year, thinking you got
Hmm.
seasonality and a bunch of stuff. And I just keep feeling, I think the squeeze
Right.
is going to keep coming.
They're baiting them. They're baiting them in. But luckily, as we were saying too, this week, we're pretty good on data. We don't have anything really to worry about. I think next week, obviously we got I think, CPI and FOMC coming up, so that might be the final time. That might be the catalyst that either takes us to break this uptrend or the downtrend. We might just chop around coming into that. We did see a big move yesterday, so it's also more likely that the market's going to digest it today. So I'm kind of going to be taking it easy today and seeing what
Yeah.
the market's going to do.
I've got my golf shirt on. I may or may not be heading to the golf course straight from here.
Oh, there you go,
It's a
living that
beautiful
living
day in
that
Florida,
good
man.
life.
It's
Yeah.
calling me. It's calling me. Shark, it was so great to have you on here. It's great to get the perspective of an SPY trader. Thanks to talk to us about the zero DTEs in comparison to the daily options on futures using event
Sure.
contracts. Give us an outlook on some technicals. I really appreciate it, man.
All
So
right.
thank you
Yeah.
so much
Thanks
for
for having
coming.
me.
Yeah, and everybody out there, remember, as a futures trader, you got rollover coming up. I think it's going to be choppy, even though my bias of direction for both Shark and I is really bearish overall. He thinks a little rally first off today. I'd actually like to see it because I'd like to sell it. But remember, it's going to be probably a bouncy week when you have rollover. So stay patient, know what
Yeah.
you're looking for. And if you want to voice your opinion on a market, event contracts aren't such a bad way to do that because you're buying the trade. That's the way I look at them. I buy the trades. I bought those 10 at 850. It cost me $85. I'm not looking at them. I'm going to let them
Yeah.
float. So, all right,
Exactly.
everybody. I'll see you
All
guys.
right,
Have a
thanks for
great
having
day.
me. Have a great trading day, everybody.
See ya.